Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Bolling, along with Jedediah Bila, Juan Williams, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Tonight, breaking developments on Hillary Clinton. At this very moment, Hillary Clinton's campaign is releasing 8 years' worth of tax returns, along with her itemized lists of her speaking fees and business income, as well as her husband Bill's. The campaign released her health records earlier. Interesting timing, as the Friday night document dump coincides with the release of thousands of emails during her time as Secretary of State. We're going to get to all that coming up, but first, Donald Trump may be out of the country, but he's still the talk of the town. Charles Krauthammer thinks his rise to the front of the GOP race is remarkable, and Dr. Charles seems to be changing his tune a bit on Trump's results. Watch.
I haven't changed my opinion of his candidacy, but I have changed my opinion of his durability. I mean, this is a guy who mocked the service of a prisoner of war who was tortured for 5.5 years and refused early release, and Trump got away with it. He not only got away with it, it wasn't even a speed bump in his rise in the polls. So he clearly is tapping into something. He will not go away easily.
Now, we're 6 days away from the first presidential debate on Fox News, and I got a chance to ask Trump if he's excited about it for cashing in. That's airing tomorrow morning at 11:30. Here's a preview. Because you're number one in the polls, you can get that front and center seat on the debate. You looking forward to the debate?
I look forward to it. I've never done it before. I mean, I haven't. I'm not a debater. I produce jobs. I produce beautiful buildings. I do a lot of good things. And I built great businesses. I built an incredible business. But the fact is, I'm not a debater. I've never done it before. I don't know. Maybe I'll be good. Maybe I'll be terrible. Who knows what I'll do?
All right, we'll bring it around the table, Greg. Like him, hate him, there's a number there.
He's lying. He debates all the time. He's constantly debating. What I would like to see him debate, though, is himself. I would like to see him go after the Donald Trump of a month ago or 2 months ago on immigration, because he's clearly adapted and changed his tune on immigration. On CNN yesterday, he was actually really thoughtful and added nuance to his stance about giving illegal immigrants legal status, allowing them to deport and then re-import to return and actually get legal status, which is far different than calling them rapists. And I think I call that growth. I think that's important. I think people think that he should maybe go after Jeb. I think it's about swinging up. I think it's going to be about Rand Paul and Marco Rubio making a play so that he's more like Biff Tanner and they're Marty McFly. So they look like the underdogs and they can go after him. I think that if Trump goes after anybody, he's going to look too aggressive.
So you say he plays a little defense because he's going to be attacked from all angles?
Yeah, but from the lower tier, from the guys that have to do it, it's not going to come from Jeb.
Is there a D in Trump? It's like,
what?
I don't think there's defense. D.
I don't know. There's a rump.
There's a rump in Trump.
That is true.
Dana, what do you think? How do you think this plays out for Trump? I mean, the numbers keep widening.
Well, I think this debate is a little bit different. I think that we on cable news are thinking that there's going to be these big fights. I actually am thinking this a little bit differently. Trump comes to this in better shape name ID-wise than anybody by far. He certainly has more television experience than any of them. Maybe save Kasich if he makes the debate. But Donald Trump knows how to entertain, and he knows that he can deliver a line. I actually think that because he doesn't have to introduce himself as Donald Trump, he has to introduce himself as a Republican candidate. Therefore, his opening statement, you actually might sound like that Donald Trump that you talked to yesterday, not necessarily coming out swinging, insulting other people. What I think he will do is say, I'm here. I chose to be a Republican. I chose to be here because I think I can beat Hillary Clinton. And he will focus all of his attention, I think, on her. The others in the debate have to introduce them. We've been covering this all the time. This is the first televised debate. No one's going to want to miss it because it's the first time they're having a chance to introduce themselves to Republican voters and the American public more broadly. So I think the debate's going to be a little more conciliatory than anticipated.
Chris Cillizza from The Fix, I think he was the one who put up a piece today saying that Donald Trump, in order to win either the nomination or the debate, needs to come out with some policy ideas between now and Thursday. I will tell you, in this interview, I spent 17 minutes with him. He had some policy in there. Why hasn't he made that known to the public before this?
I don't think he's that kind of candidate. I think he's a candidate of the sort of visceral, powerful emotions, and he speaks directly to people, and that's his appeal. I don't think anybody there is really about his immigration policy. As far as they're concerned, Greg's got it right. There's a lot of rump and Trump. I mean, it's not exactly brains. It's not. That's not
Can
what
I
they're
mention
about.
something else? Because he has a it was announced today, I believe, that Trump will have a book that comes out on the day of the debate, and it's apparently it's all the policies that it's like smart marketing to put out that day.
But isn't it the book? Am I confused? Isn't it the book that was out for 2 years ago? It's the same book, right?
I don't know.
Make America Great Again.
But
or
I will
like
say this, that I think that Thursday night is really the Trump show. You know, what was that movie, Somebody's Show?
Truman Show?
Yeah, the Truman Show. This is the Trump show because it's all about Trump. The guy who has the most to prove is Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush,
So what does he do?
He's got to take
disagree.
shots. So I think it's what Dana suggested earlier. Dana disagrees with me. But anyway, I think that what Jeb Bush has got to do is sort of contrast himself to Trump as I'm the serious, substantive candidate.
But, to Trump.
Yeah,
and here's why
I'm the big, real
the reason why I'm asking this is because one of the pieces, one of the headlines on Drudge Report today was that the Republican whomever has advised Jeb not to take on Trump because that wouldn't be a good strategy.
No, not directly.
That's bad advice.
It's not like arguing with him.
Well, how do you not?
Because it's a contrast. It's like, you want to say, oh, gee, that guy's kind of clownish, but that guy's serious. Gee, that Jeb is more impressive than I thought.
Trump's biggest challenge, I think, if I were advising him, is that he does speak in these platitudes. I'm always yearning for specifics, and I think the public does want that from him. I see a lot of times on Twitter people saying, well, where exactly does he stand on this issue or that issue? So I think people are going to be looking for some seriousness from him because they already know what he does well. And what he does well is that charisma, is getting people excited, is sort of not being self-censored and going out and saying what he thinks. What people are really curious about is, can we rely on this guy, if he were to get elected, to do what he says that he believes in? So I think those specifics for him are going to be
wait
key.
a second.
And I actually agree with Greg. I think Marco Rubio and I think Rand Paul, who everyone expected to shine. Everyone was saying, these are going to be the guys. These are going to be the heroes. Scott Walker as well is one of those guys that people think of like that. I think people are going to be looking to see, can they take on Donald Trump? Can they challenge him? Maybe not in the same tone that he has, but can they challenge him on policy? Because if they can't take on the Donald, they're probably not going to be able to take on Hillary.
Donald will punk him. If they try to take on Donald Trump, he will eat them
Donald
alive.
Trump.
Oh, no, he'll punk him. But I think that what Greg was on to, you said this thing about substance, I think that if you go back, Donald Trump's a pretty big Democrat.
Yeah.
So
they've got to ask him about universal health care.
Well, how about
Where is he on that?
Well, how about gun control?
Can I
Yes,
promise you
absolutely.
that if you watch tomorrow morning, I want to give it all away because I asked him about health care. I asked him about the military. I asked him about how he's going to build, how he's going to pay for the wall that he wants to build, how he's going to get Mexico to pay for it. And he comes up with substantial ideas. I also asked him if you were on the debate stage sitting next to Megyn Kelly and you had a question for Jeb, Walker, Christie, and Rubio, what would it be? It's pretty fascinating stuff. He's not holding back tomorrow morning. I have a hunch he won't hold back Thursday.
Yeah.
Let me take another little piece of clip from the interview with Trump. There are a lot of people in the establishment who are kind of terrified or mad at him. I asked him about that. Why is the establishment, the political establishment class, so afraid of Donald Trump?
I don't understand it. I say what I say, which is something, make America great again. I mean, basically, what I want to do, Eric, is make our country great again. But the level of animosity and the level of hatred from some people who I think are good people is incredible. But likewise, the level of support is beyond incredible, including some of the pundits, in all fairness. So it's a mixed bag, but I'm out there, and you see the poll numbers have been fantastic. I'm very happy with it, and hopefully I'll get a chance to make our country great again.
Danny, respond to that one?
Well, if you're pointing at me, like, I am not afraid of...
No, I didn't
that's the
elicit
thing.
your
I
name.
mean, why is the establishment... Dana, you respond. I think that there you see the respect, right? So Charles Krauthammer comes out and says, look, I can change my mind. It's more durable than I thought. Jeb Bush today said it's a phenomenon, and I don't think he meant that in a bad way. It's like there's obviously something there. The polls are what they are. And I think social media does have a way of pushing these polls faster than we have seen in the past because people are paying more attention. They're getting it in all sorts of different ways, not just their morning paper. They're seeing it all day long. So when polls are taken, you can see movement much faster, and that could go either way. I don't know what it'll look like on Tuesday when they make a decision.
I wasn't including you in the class. I was giving you the first crack at that apple. Greg, your
Okay.
thoughts on the establishment being concerned with them?
I think there's a lot of hypocrisy going on because Donald is not afraid to go after somebody.
Right.
And they call that criticism. When you respond, somehow that is translated as bashing. And I've always said that criticism is your guardrail. Flunkies only feed your overconfidence, and your overconfidence then obscures your blind spots. I think that he has changed since the last couple of weeks because you've noticed a thoughtfulness brewing about certain issues that were not there before. That might upset people who miss his bluntness, but it might make him a more, a more serious candidate as he starts to grow. He has to grow the audience and not inflame those that like to be inflamed.
Yeah, I think the other candidates are really confused. I do not think they expected him to be this successful. I don't think they were prepared for it. I think they're even more confused because he's made a lot of mistakes, this McCain comment and whatnot, and it's not hurt him as of yet. So I think if you look at Rick Perry in particular, I think he's been struggling to try to figure out how to tackle this. I think they're trying to predict, in a sense, what he's going to do on a debate stage and how they should respond to it to best highlight their strengths and highlight his weaknesses.
Quick thought?
Well, I just think that, in fact, Donald Trump, I think people are afraid of him because he's not a politician. Nobody knows
It's a moving target.
You know what?
Right?
He's like an X factor. I saw somebody wrote in the paper today, say, if you're a Republican on that stage, don't start wrestling with pigs. You're just going to get dirty, and the pig likes it.
I think in some ways they just have to follow their gut.
Well, they could,
You can't plan all of this out. You have to go and know your record very well.
But he doesn't
know
have
a few
a-
points that you can. Well, I'm
He
not
doesn't have a record.
I'm saying about all the other candidates.
Okay.
So you need to know your record very well, be able to point out weaknesses in the other's record if you can, and then you're just going to have to roll with it and be yourself. That's going to be the way
That's
to be
fine.
the most authentic. You
The
can't
problem
plan
with
anything.
Trump is he has no record, or it's a flip-flop record, and he's really playing on media sensation and energy. And I think that's why McCain said, "Oh, he's exciting the crazy." I don't think McCain meant it as a negative, but he's just saying, you know what? He's got the activist grassroots of the party going in a way that the typical establishment Republican, it feels like, oh my God, my hair's on
but
fire.
quick thought?
Yeah, if Trump gets the nomination and it's Trump versus Hillary, will he still donate to Hillary's campaign in case he loses? In case he loses, he covers that base, and then he ends up in her administration.
Well, it was transactional, right? That's what
and
it was
this
called.
is the evil plan from all along.
He wants to be the Secretary of Interior.
You can really bring people together.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to leave it right there. Catch more of my one-on-one interview with Donald Trump. Cash in tomorrow morning, 11:30 Eastern. I asked him about how he plans to get Mexico to pay for that wall he wants so badly. I got a very interesting answer. Ahead on the 5, Facebook Friday, we answer your questions. But straight ahead, the State Department released a brand new batch of Hillary Clinton's emails from her tenure as Secretary of State. We're going to ask Ed Henry, who's going to be here, about that and much more. Stick around.